With Daredevil and Jessica Jones already frontlining the Marvel and Netflix partnership, next up was Luke Cage. Having already appeared in the debut season of Jessica Jones as a key supporting character, the writers for his standalone show had the task of taking a character who has already been established, then building upon that to show us that he deserves his own standalone show. I'll be honest, when first hearing about it, I was a little skeptic, but the driving force behind my hope for the show succeeding was all behind the lead actor, Mike Colter. That guy is built like a steam train just mated with a tank, and he is believably a man who has bulletproof skin. He rises to the role and proves to us that this show deserves to have its own story. Luke is an ex-cop, an ex-con, and someone who is just trying to stay under the radar. He has incredible powers and abilities. He can heal wounds quickly. He has super strength, and of course, the main aspect that he has bulletproof skin. He's never wanted any attention for himself. All he wanted was to keep his own head down so he could try and live a normal life. But after Pop, the man Luke looked towards for guidance and stability, was murdered in an attempted hit. It forced Luke to reconsider Pop's words. Maybe he could do something more. Maybe he could make a difference. And Luke was finally ready to step up to the table and play his hand regardless of the outcome. He isn't looking to save the world. He is looking to save Harlem. Alongside Cage in the leading role, there is persistent police detective Misty Knight. She relentlessly pursues justice and is even out to catch Luke for a good majority of this season. Deep down, I think she knew that all the charges and accusations that kept being pointed in Luke's direction were all false, but she took her sweet time in getting to that conclusion. Now, running the streets of Harlem was Cornell Stokes, or as he's more commonly known, Cottonmouth. The crime lord was the owner of the Harlem's Paradise nightclub, but it was because of his more illegal activities, notably a failed gun sale early on in the series, which led to him becoming the enemy of Luke Cage. Cottonmouth was charismatic, if not a little naive when it came to dealing with his problems. Or, well, problem because it was Cage that was destroying his organisation. At first she thought he was going to be the main antagonist of the show. He was used often, had plenty of screen time, and was at the centre of the criminal activity that Luke was actively trying to stop. But boy, if you thought that like I sure did, you got a shocker around the halfway point. Cottonmouth was thrown from his office and brutally beaten to death by his cousin and councilwoman Mariah Dillard. Mariah was pretty shady to begin with and used many underhanded tactics before she shifted into the crime life. And once she was in, her actions became even worse. If beating her own cousin to death started this new take on conquering Harlem, she tried to frame Luke for it, targeted the people he cared for, and even went as far as to assassinate witnesses from the scene. She was a commanding character since she was first introduced, but she really upped her game once she began to establish herself as the main villain of the story. Now yes, technically she wasn't the main villain, but to me as a viewer, I saw her as such. Who officially was taking the mantle as the big bad though? It was Luke's own half-brother, the elusive Willis Stryker, aka Diamondback. Only ever referenced through the first half of the season, Diamondback was set up to be the man who was pulling the strings. He had Cornell under orders, and Shades was put alongside him to make sure that he was kept in check. Theo Rossi's character was actually one of my more favourite characters of the season. The former Sons of Anarchy actor used his most dangerous skill, persuasion. He was deadly in combat when called upon, and he went from right-hand man of Diamondback to Cottonmouth to Diamondback again, and now he stands by Mariah's side. He is undeniably smart, not like the other goons like Zip, but even his presence wasn't enough to propel Diamondback into being a compelling villain. He just felt too full on, a little unhinged is fine, but he was crazy, a wild card, and someone who you could not see getting this far by acting the way that he did. He was just too eccentric for me, and it didn't really come off all that great when the half-brothers finally went at it. The big fight in the finale between the pair was a little lacklustre, and it fell flat compared to the earlier episodes. It tried to replicate a montage between the pair when they were growing up together, but in the end it was just a literal punch-out and didn't close that chapter of the story all that well. Diamondback will likely return, of course, after that ending where we saw the scientist who helped Luke going behind closed doors, so I guess that it means he too will get some Luke Cage-like powers with a possible twist. Time will tell. The Judas bullet was a great idea though, able to drill into the skin and then detonate, so it gave Luke something to start to worry about. But honestly, it was Mariah who was the underlying star. And with her still at large and Shades at her side, there's no telling what she might do next, as her conquest for Harlem has barely gotten started. Now, she's appeared on multiple occasions in this Marvel universe already. She's been seen throughout Daredevil and had a short brief appearance in Jessica Jones, but here Claire Temple had perceivably her biggest role yet. After arriving back in Harlem and finding herself aiding and assisting Luke, Claire became a rock for the show and was easily one of the most likeable and badass characters the show had on offer. It helps that she's had her foundations built in the previous shows, of course, but she felt like she belonged in Harlem with all that was going on. She featured predominantly once returning to the fold, and I hope she too features in the upcoming Defenders, and of course Luke Cage's second season. So to our night nurse, I hope we get to see more of you. My overall verdict for Luke Cage's first season is an 8 out of 10. A really enjoyable first season has left me surprisingly eager for season 2. The Defenders arrived before then, of course, and I cannot wait for the Punisher, believe me. But I guess it won't be till, what, 2018, 2019 when this second season hits? Anyway, Marvel has another win. It was a grounded, humble journey throughout the streets of Harlem. Luke was a likeable, albeit reluctant hero to the neighbourhood, and his actions spoke volumes to the citizens around him as they stuck with him even when he was being framed. And I have to mention it, but the music. Oh, the music. It was sensational. So good. So good. It really allowed you to feel and breathe the life inside of Harlem and in Harlem's paradise. Credit to everyone involved there, because it really was one of the show's strongest aspects from start to finish. Now, Luke Cage is not like Daredevil, and it is not like Jessica Jones. There are action scenes, but it's not trying to outdo Daredevil and its martial arts flips. The scenes are mostly just straight up brute force used to get the job done. They are what they need to be, because Luke doesn't need to out-strategize his enemy. All he needs is what he's got, which is his bulletproof skin. Now, the first half of the season is where its strength lies. The build-up, the backstory with Reaver, Seagate and how he got his powers was woven in very well. The flashback episode gave us a lot more depth to our main character. It showed us his motives and what drove him down his current path. And it shined higher than the back end of the season, which was notably flawed. Not totally. Claire was a strong contender for the MVP of the season, but it was due to Diamondback. He was just okay. He wasn't anything special, at least not yet. He just came nowhere near to either Wilson Fisk or Kilgrave. Saying that, I don't think any villain in this show came close to either of them two, but Mariah was definitely the closest out of the bunch. Now, Luke's flashbacks with Reaver added context for us viewers, but something I didn't expect was we got the same treatment for Cottonmouth. His past with Mama Mabel forcing him to kill his Uncle Pete, which was the turning point in his life which drove him into a life of crime, had you sympathising with the character. What would have happened if he took up his piano lessons? Would he be where he is today? Those questions left you wondering, and it added something more to him before he was abruptly beaten to death. Like I said, I was a little sceptic before I first watched this show, but afterwards I can tell you now, don't be. It was a great watch and I binged the whole thing in less than a week. Get watching if you haven't seen it yet, because next up for me is Iron Fist. Yes, I've seen what others have said about it, but I'm still going to give it a shot and see what it's like. I'm 3 out of 4 and the Defenders is round the corner, so I've got to at least try it. Anyway, I should be able to watch them all before the Defenders hits. But again, the Punisher is where it's going to be at. Oh, give me it now, I need it. It's still supposed to be in 2017, so trailer please. And that'll do it from me. What did you guys think about Luke Cage's first season? And do you agree that out of all of the villains, Diamondback was the least effective of them all? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
Never confuse the battle with the war.
Next suit that gets damaged, I'm taxing you.